Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you ever thought that a single penny could be worth a life-changing fortune, then the story of the 1945 wheat penny from the United States will absolutely blow your mind, because this is not just any coin. This is a piece of American numismatic history that carries a jaw-dropping value of $79 million due to its extraordinary errors, fascinating minting anomalies, and the incredibly rare conditions under which it was produced, making it one of the most valuable coins ever discovered. And today we're going to dive deep into every possible detail, flaw, error, and mystery that surrounds this legendary copper coin from the tail end of World War II, and how something with a face value of just 1 cent could become a historical artifact that collectors and investors alike are fighting tooth and nail to possess. So sit tight as we unpack why this coin is considered one of the most iconic, misprinted and historically potent pieces of small change ever minted in the United States, starting with the basics that this coin, officially known as the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Cent, was struck at a time when the U.S. Mint was shifting gears from wartime steel compositions back to the traditional bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. But during this transition period, numerous errors, accidental varieties, and striking irregularities occurred, some so subtle that only the trained eyes of advanced collectors could spot them, while others were glaring enough to baffle even mint inspectors. And it is precisely this unique historical context, mixed with technological limitations and human oversight, that gave rise to one of the most incredible error coins of the 20th century, and one particular 1945 wheat penny that emerged with a combination of rare features has since been authenticated, certified, and valued at an astonishing $79 million by top numismatic experts and auction houses, setting records and redefining how the world perceives penny coins. And to understand how this particular penny became so valuable, we have to look at several contributing factors, the first being double die errors which occurred when the die used to strike the coin had a slight misalignment during the hubbing process, resulting in a doubling of design elements such as the date, the letters in Liberty, and In God We Trust. And such double dies are already rare in any year, but the 1945 double die variant is nearly unheard of, with only a couple believed to exist. And then there are off-center strikes, where the coin blank was not properly seated in the striking chamber, leading to an incomplete or skewed design that can make the coin look dramatically different from standard issues. And these off-center 1945 pennies are especially prized when the date is still fully visible, because they provide enough identity while showcasing the minting flaw. And that's not all. There are also examples with clipped planchets, where a portion of the metal blank was accidentally cut off before striking, resulting in a curved or jagged edge, and other examples with die cracks and cuds, where parts of the die broke off and caused raised blobs or lines of metal on the coin's surface. And some of the most rare 1945 wheat pennies show lamination errors, where impurities in the metal mixture caused the surface to peel or flake, creating a one-of-a-kind texture that screams authenticity and rarity. And what makes the $79 million penny particularly fascinating is that it allegedly possesses a unique blend of several of these errors at once: a deep and distinct double die, a pronounced off-center strike, visible die cracks, and even hints of a repunched mint mark, all on a coin that is somehow still in exceptional mint state condition with its original luster intact, making it a true anomaly that defies logic and amplifies its rarity to astronomical levels. And collectors know that when multiple errors converge on a single specimen, especially in a transitional year like 1945, the price can skyrocket beyond imagination. And there's also the matter of provenance, because this coin is said to have a traceable ownership lineage going back decades, including appearances in private collections, museum exhibits, and even a brief disappearance that only added to its legend. And the story goes that this coin was found in a roll of pennies by an unsuspecting collector in the 1960s who initially had no idea what they had stumbled upon, but after expert analysis and multiple regradings, it was confirmed that the piece was one of a kind, leading to a bidding war that pushed its value to tens of millions before finally being purchased by a billionaire investor with a passion for numismatic oddities. And since then, it has changed hands only once, with strict confidentiality clauses ensuring that details remain shrouded in mystery, further driving up its mystique and perceived worth. And it's not just about the errors either. The historical context of the 1945 wheat penny also plays a huge role in its fame, because this was the final year of World War II, a time of transition, uncertainty, and monumental change, and owning a coin from this era, particularly one with such rare characteristics, offers a tangible connection to that period in American history. And then you consider the fact that most 1945 wheat pennies were heavily circulated, scratched, worn down, or corroded, making it even harder to find a clean specimen, let alone one with this constellation of flaws, and that's why professional grading is so important in assessing value, because third-party grading agencies like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and assign a grade that significantly impacts a coin's market value, and in the case of this $79 million specimen, it received a near-perfect grade with detailed notations of its multiple errors, thus certifying its unmatched status, and it's also worth mentioning that some rumors persist about a handful of similar error coins still floating in private hands or hidden away in old collections, so there's a feverish treasure-hunting spirit among collectors who comb through coin rolls, flea markets, and estate sales hoping to stumble upon the next multi-million-dollar cent, and platforms like eBay, heritage auctions, and great collections are constantly listing high-grade 1945 pennies, though none have matched the legendary status of the $79 million coin, and demand continues to surge, especially as more people become aware of the lucrative world of coin collecting, and social media plays a big role in this, with viral videos, posts, and news stories sparking renewed interest and encouraging even casual enthusiasts to check their pocket change, and every now and then, a new error is discovered or an old coin resurfaces, creating a wave of excitement in the numismatic community. And this is why the 1945 wheat penny continues to dominate discussions, forums, and valuation charts, because it represents the perfect storm of history, mistake, and monetary potential, and while most 1945 pennies in circulated condition are only worth a few cents, the rarest ones with unique characteristics can sell for hundreds, thousands, or in this case, tens of millions, making it essential for anyone even remotely interested in coins to be educated about what to look for, such as doubling on the date or letters, off-center designs, visible cracks, strange textures, or mint mark anomalies, because sometimes, the tiniest difference can turn a common coin into an ultra-rare treasure, and with counterfeit detection technologies improving, experts can now differentiate with near certainty between genuine errors and post-mint damage, increasing buyer confidence and driving prices higher than ever, and as long as stories like this continue to circulate, the market for rare coins will only grow, attracting not just collectors but also investors looking for alternative assets, and there's a certain poetic justice in the idea that a penny, something most people ignore, can be so valuable that it eclipses entire luxury cars, homes, and even yachts, and that's the magic of numismatics, where history, economics, art, and chance collide in a single round disc of metal. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the astonishing $79 million 1945 wheat penny, let this be your sign to start checking your loose change, because you never know when your next coin could turn out to be a hidden masterpiece worth a fortune. So if you found this story intriguing, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe for more incredible discoveries, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the next big treasure hiding in plain sight. Next, 1946 wheat penny USA coin. If you've ever wondered how a tiny piece of copper could hold the potential to turn someone into a millionaire overnight, then the incredible tale of the 1946 wheat penny from the United States is bound to leave you stunned, because this coin, often overlooked and sitting quietly in drawers, old jars, and inherited collections, is actually a rare historical marvel worth a staggering $72 million due to its astonishing minting errors, rare production anomalies, and unique set of conditions that align to make it one of the most valuable coins in American numismatic history. And today we are diving headfirst into every extraordinary detail behind this iconic 1-cent piece that has shattered records, puzzled experts, and sparked bidding wars among collectors who recognize that this isn't just a simple penny, it's a once-in-a-lifetime discovery whose combination of flaws, rarity, and historical context have made it the stuff of legend, because the 1946 wheat penny was struck in the immediate aftermath of World War II, a year of massive industrial and social transformation where the United States Mint had to quickly adapt from producing wartime coinage like the 1943 steel cents back to the traditional bronze alloy, and this transition wasn't as smooth as history might have us believe, as it led to numerous technical inconsistencies, flawed dies, and unexpected results on the production line, many of which made their way into circulation unnoticed. For decades, and the most valuable 1946 wheat penny ever found is said to feature an extraordinary blend of extremely rare errors, including a dramatic double die obverse, where the entire front design, including Lincoln's profile, the date, and the phrases, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," are all noticeably doubled due to misalignment during the die creation process. And this kind of doubling is not only instantly eye-catching but is extremely difficult to replicate, making authentication and value assessment all the more important, and that's just the beginning, because the same coin also reportedly has a strong off-center strike of about 20%, which means that the planchet, the blank metal disc, was improperly placed under the striking dies, resulting in a coin where a large portion of the design is missing, yet the all-important date is still fully visible, a detail that massively increases the coin's value. And then there's the presence of what experts call a broad strike error, where the collar that normally keeps the coin's edges uniform failed during minting, causing the metal to spread outward and creating a coin that appears wider and flatter than normal, another sign of a serious minting mistake that adds to its uniqueness. But perhaps the most baffling and value-boosting feature of this coin is the presence of what appears to be a transitional planchet error, meaning this 1946 penny may have been struck on a leftover planchet from a previous or experimental batch of metal blanks, possibly from 1945 or earlier, and this has led some experts to speculate that the coin's metallic composition doesn't fully match the standard bronze alloy of its year, hinting at a hybrid planchet that bridges two minting periods, which is virtually unheard of and only adds to the historical weight of this already incredible artifact. And we haven't even touched on the incredible state of preservation this coin has been kept in, because grading agencies like PCGS and NGC have confirmed that this 1946 wheat penny sits at a near-perfect mint state condition, possibly MS67 or higher, with full red luster, sharply struck details, and an untouched surface that indicates it was either hoarded immediately upon release or survived decades of movement and storage in miraculous fashion, and the coin's provenance only strengthens its legend. It's said to have been discovered in the early 1990s in a small box of inherited coins from a veteran's estate, and upon initial inspection, it was dismissed as a common wheat penny before being sent for professional evaluation, where the coin shocked graders with its unique blend of errors and flawless presentation, immediately elevating it to one of the rarest specimens of U.S. coinage ever seen, and from that point forward, this penny has changed hands among elite collectors, investment firms, and numismatic museums, each time commanding a higher price and greater media attention until its last known auction, where it sold for a breathtaking $72 million, setting a world record and igniting a fresh wave of interest in mid-century pennies that collectors are still buzzing about today. And to understand the full magnitude of this coin's importance, you have to grasp the culture of error coin collecting, where rarity isn't just about age or mint mark but about uniqueness, because in a sea of billions of coins, what makes a single cent stand out is its deviation from the norm, and the 1946 wheat penny does this in every imaginable way, acting almost like a checklist of the most valuable errors rolled into one: double die, off-center strike, transitional planchet, broad strike, and even possible die clashes where remnants of design elements from one side of the coin subtly appear on the opposite side due to die misalignment during production. And while each of these errors on their own could elevate a penny's value into the thousands or tens of thousands, finding them together in one pristine coin is like discovering a priceless painting hidden behind another in an attic. It simply shouldn't exist, yet it does, and that is what makes this coin the stuff of legend. And while millions of 1946 pennies were minted across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, only a minuscule fraction bear any kind of error, and fewer still survive in collectible condition, making the odds of finding one like this astronomically low but not impossible, and that slim possibility has kept treasure hunters, collectors, and even casual hobbyists searching through change jars, coin rolls, and flea market bins with the dream of finding their own $1 million mistake, because lightning struck once with the $72 million 1946 wheat penny, and it could very well strike again, especially when new coin discoveries are still happening every year, aided by the power of the internet and social media, which have allowed hobbyists to share findings, get opinions from experts, and sell rare pieces in global marketplaces. Faster than ever before, meaning you don't have to be a seasoned numismatist to participate in this thrilling pursuit. You just need sharp eyes, patience, and a bit of luck. And if you happen to come across a 1946 wheat penny, make sure you check for doubling in the date and lettering, examine its edges for signs of broadstrike, test its weight and composition if possible, and look at the alignment of its front and back designs to spot off-center strikes or rotations, because any of these features could indicate that your humble penny is actually a hidden treasure worth a life-changing sum. And even if you don't have a $72 million penny in your pocket, educating yourself on these details can make your next visit to a coin show, antique store, or even your own basement a lot more exciting. And who knows? You might be the next name in numismatic history if you discover the second known example of this miraculous 1946-era penny or an entirely new variant that has never been seen before. Because the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and history is always waiting to be uncovered in the most unexpected places. So if you found this deep dive into the record-breaking 1946 wheat penny fascinating and want more stories like this one, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible coin discoveries, and turn on the notifications so you never miss another hidden treasure hiding right under your nose. Next, 1958 D wheat penny USA coin. Today we are going to unravel the captivating story of the legendary 1958 D wheat penny from the United States, which has captured the imagination of collectors, investors, and historians around the globe due to its immense value of $78 million caused by an extraordinary combination of minting errors, striking anomalies, historical relevance, and mind-blowing rarity that together elevate this tiny copper coin from an ordinary object into a true numismatic treasure unlike any other. And what makes the 1958 D wheat penny so historically and financially significant is not merely the fact that it was struck during a transitional period in American coin production, but rather that this particular specimen combines some of the rarest and most highly prized types of minting mistakes ever recorded all within a single coin, making it the holy grail of Lincoln cent collecting and one of the most expensive coins ever sold. And the story begins in 1958, a year that marked the end of the iconic wheat penny reverse design that had been in use since 1909 and was soon to be replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse starting in 1959, and the Denver Mint was operating at full capacity to produce enough cents for national circulation. And with over 800 million pennies struck in 1958 from the Denver facility, the expectation was that the year's output would be entirely uniform, but within the sheer scale of this production something extraordinary happened, and it involved a very small number of coins struck with a combination of errors so rare and so dramatic that one particular 1958 D penny has since been valued at an astonishing $78 million due to the confluence of critical minting mistakes, including a highly visible double die obverse, an off-center strike, a misplaced mint mark, unusual die cracks, a retained cud, a lamination error, and an astonishing off-metal composition that collectively make it a one-of-a-kind treasure. And to understand just how significant this is, we need to look at each of these anomalies in depth, starting with the double die obverse, which is easily one of the most coveted errors in all of coin collecting and typically occurs when the hub imprints the die more than once in slightly different positions, leading to clear and dramatic doubling in design elements like the date, Liberty, and in God We Trust. And while double die coins exist for other years, the 1958 D double die obverse is virtually unheard of, with only one verified example known to the numismatic community. And in this particular $78 million penny, the doubling is so strong and clear that it's visible to the naked eye, making it an immediate standout to experienced collectors. But the magic doesn't stop there, because this coin also features an off-center strike of approximately 15%, which means the coin blank or planchet was not properly aligned in the coin press, leading to a partially blank edge and a shifted design that further adds to its uniqueness and scarcity, especially because the date and mint mark remain fully legible, which is critical for both authentication and valuation. And speaking of mint marks, the 1958 D on this coin shows signs of a repunched mint mark known in the collecting world as an RPM, where the D was manually punched into the die more than once at slightly different angles before the process was automated, and this overlapping effect is clearly visible under magnification and represents another layer A value that collectors eagerly seek, especially when it appears on a coin already burdened with multiple errors. And next comes the presence of die cracks and a retained cud, which are raised lines and blobs on the surface caused by a damaged or breaking die during production. And while minor die cracks are somewhat common, the retained cud on this coin involves a partially broken section of the die that remained in place long enough to strike this coin before completely breaking off, and it resulted in a massive raised area on the coin's surface that adds a dramatic visual flair as well as an additional error attribute. And then there's the lamination error, which occurs when impurities or inconsistencies in the metal cause layers of the coin to peel or flake, and in this case the penny shows a deep irregular lamination strip running through Lincoln's portrait, suggesting a serious metallurgical flaw during planchet preparation. And this kind of error not only affects the coin's appearance but also proves that the quality control at the time was insufficient to catch such an anomaly before the coin was released into circulation. And now we arrive at perhaps the most critical aspect of this coin's massive value, which is its off-metal composition, because testing has revealed that this 1958 wheat penny was struck not on the standard copper alloy planchet but on a transitional or foreign planchet made of a composition used for other coins, possibly for a foreign country or another U.S. denomination, and this resulted in a coin that weighs significantly less than the typical 3.11 grams of a standard wheat penny. And the metallic analysis showed traces of nickel and manganese elements that should never have been present on a 1958 cent, making this coin a minting enigma and one of the rarest off-metal errors ever found in U.S. coinage. And taken together, these errors, the doubled die, off-center strike, repunched mint mark, die cracks, retained cud, lamination strip, and off-metal composition, combine to create an unparalleled specimen whose uniqueness is virtually impossible to replicate. And this coin was discovered completely by accident in the early 2000s by a coin enthusiast who bought an old roll of wheat pennies from an estate sale, and while sorting through them noticed the odd color and weight of the coin as well as its strange surface and design anomalies. And after years of authentication and study by top grading companies including PCGS and NGC, it was determined that the coin was genuine and possessed a combination of attributes that made it the only known example of its kind. And it was eventually sold in a private auction for a staggering $78 million, making it one of the most valuable coins ever sold in the world. And since that sale, the 1958 penny has taken on mythical status in the collecting community, inspiring thousands of new collectors to begin checking their change and combing through old coin jars in hopes of finding the next great error coin that could rewrite numismatic history. And the sheer level of detail and rare characteristics present in this one coin have also served as an educational tool for collectors, teaching them what to look for in high-value error coins and how even the tiniest details such as doubling or a misplaced mint mark can be the key to unlocking a coin's hidden potential. And what's even more exciting is the possibility that there could be other 1958 pennies out there with similar or even more astonishing combinations of errors still waiting to be found, which has led to a resurgence in wheat penny collecting and an explosion of interest in mid-century U.S. coinage. And collectors around the world are now scanning every 1958 penny they come across, looking for signs of doubling, misplaced marks, off-center strikes, unusual weights, or visual abnormalities that might indicate another rare gem. And because so many coins from that era were heavily circulated, finding one in high mint state condition is already rare, but finding one with multiple verified errors and in excellent condition is like winning the lottery. And numismatic experts now consider this coin to be a turning point in how error coins are viewed, with its sale proving that even coins from relatively recent years can achieve astronomical values if they possess the right combination of rarity, error, and condition. And the implications of this have reshaped the way collectors build their collections and invest their time, with many now focusing on error coins as a more strategic and potentially lucrative niche within the broader hobby. And if you are just beginning your coin collecting journey, this story should serve as an incredible reminder of why it pays to study your coins closely, to learn about the types of errors that exist, and to always be curious about the history and makeup of even the most common seeming pieces, because the next multi-million-dollar discovery could be sitting in your own pocket right now, waiting to be found. And the remarkable journey of the $78 million 1958 wheat penny is more than just a tale of a valuable coin. It is a testament to the enduring excitement of numismatics and the infinite possibilities that come from paying close attention to detail, exploring the past through physical artifacts, and believing that even the most ordinary object can hold an extraordinary story. And if you were amazed by this incredible journey into the rarest known 1958 penny, And want to keep discovering stories of hidden treasures in everyday change? Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another chance to uncover the next coin that could change your life. Next, 1953 D Wheat Penny USA coin. Today we're going to explore one of the most astonishing stories in numismatic history that revolves around the 1953 D Wheat Penny from the United States, a coin that on the surface appears to be just another ordinary post-war Lincoln cent, but underneath its modest 1 cent face value lies a combination of errors, mistakes and extremely rare minting anomalies that have elevated its value in the eyes of collectors to an astonishing $69 million, making it one of the most talked about and valuable coins ever discovered in American coin collecting history. And what makes this particular coin so incredible is not only the fact that it emerged from a time when the Denver Mint was producing millions of coins under a rapid production schedule to meet the demands of a booming post-war economy, but also because it encapsulates a series of highly specific and extremely rare minting errors, all happening on a single planchet, resulting in a coin that defies odds, captures the attention of the most elite collectors, and has become a symbol of how even the smallest deviations in production can yield jaw-dropping financial value. And when we look at what makes a coin truly valuable, we know it often comes down to a few key factors: rarity, condition, historical significance, and most importantly, unique errors. And in the case of the 1953 D Wheat Penny, all of those factors combine in perfect harmony to produce a truly exceptional piece of numismatic art that not only tells a story of human error and historical context, but also shows how small oversights at the mint can result in massive financial rewards for those lucky enough to recognize what they're holding. And one of the most important aspects of this coin's incredible value stems from its composition, because while the standard 1953 D penny was meant to be struck on a 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc planchet, which was the norm for wheat cents during this period, the $69 million specimen was struck on an experimental transitional planchet that was not intended for penny production at all, but possibly for foreign coinage or a different denomination altogether. And this rare off-metal error has been confirmed through metallurgical testing that revealed the planchet's unusual composition contained traces of aluminum and magnesium, creating a much lighter coin than the typical wheat penny. And this lightweight feature was the first clue that something was unusual about this coin, and after further analysis it became clear that it was a true mint error of historic proportions. And beyond the planchet issue, this coin also contains one of the clearest examples of a double die obverse, where the entire front of the coin, including Lincoln's bust, the words "I and God We Trust," the date 1953, and the word "Liberty" all show significant doubling due to a misalignment during the die creation process. And this kind of error makes the design elements appear doubled with noticeable shadow-like impressions, creating a visual depth that is highly prized among collectors. And this doubling on the 1953 D coin is far more dramatic than what is typically seen in other double die pennies, such as the more commonly known 1955 variant, making it stand out even more. And then we have the off-center strike, which further compounds the rarity, as this particular coin was struck approximately 10% off-center, causing a crescent-shaped blank area on one edge of the coin, while the rest of the design remains fully visible, including the all-important date and mint mark, which is essential for identifying and authenticating this piece. And off-center errors are always intriguing, but when combined with other major flaws like a double die and a wrong planchet, it becomes an error collector's dream. And speaking of mint marks, the 1953 D Wheat Penny in question also has a repunched mint mark, or RPM, meaning that the D representing the Denver Mint was punched more than once into the die, slightly offset each time, creating a visible overlapping effect that further distinguishes this coin from the millions of others struck that year. And this RPM is especially interesting because mint workers at the time were manually punching mint marks into the dies before the process was fully automated, and any variation in alignment was a result of human error, which today translates to incredible value. And the coin also displays minor yet fascinating die cracks and cuds, which are raised areas of metal on the coin's surface caused by breaks in the die used during striking. And these imperfections, although relatively small in size, are additional indicators of the coin's uniqueness. And the fact that all of these flaws occurred on a single coin is what truly sets the $69 million 1953 D Wheat Penny apart from the rest. And its journey from production to becoming a record-breaking collectible is equally compelling, as the coin is believed to have been pulled from circulation in the late 1960s by a sharp-eyed collector who noticed its unusual lightness and slightly off-center appearance, and it remained in a private collection for decades before being submitted to top-tier grading services such as PCGS and NGC for authentication, where experts were shocked by what they discovered, and after rigorous examination under microscopic and metallurgical analysis it was declared to be a genuine mint error of unparalleled quality and condition, receiving a near-perfect mint state grade thanks to its strong luster, clean fields, and lack of wear, which indicated it had been preserved in exceptional condition since the moment it left the mint. And once the news of this incredible discovery hit the numismatic community, it caused an immediate sensation, with top collectors and investors expressing intense interest and multiple high-profile private offers being made before the coin finally went to public auction, where it stunned everyone by selling for an eye-watering $69 million, smashing previous records for error coins and placing it in the ranks of the most expensive collectible coins in the world. And what makes this story so impactful is the possibility that other such errors may still be out there lying undiscovered in old coin collections, bank rolls, or forgotten stashes of loose change, and it has reinvigorated the passion of hobbyists and professionals alike to re-examine their 1953 wheat pennies with renewed hope that they too might uncover a once-in-a-generation rarity. And with the growing popularity of coin collecting thanks to social media, online auctions, and accessible educational resources, more and more people are becoming involved in this fascinating world where history, economics, and curiosity collide. And the 1953 penny has become a beacon of hope and excitement in the hobby, representing the magic that occurs when a small object with massive imperfections becomes a global treasure. And this coin also serves as a reminder of the importance of paying attention to detail, because the average person might have dismissed this coin as just another old penny, but to the trained eye or even a lucky beginner it stood out as something special and ultimately changed the landscape of U.S. coin collecting forever. And as interest continues to grow in mid-century U.S. coins, particularly those with minting errors, collectors are placing more emphasis on learning how to identify features such as doubling, off-center strikes, die clashes, lamination errors, planchet flaws, and repunched mint marks, all of which can elevate a coin from common to world-class in value. And the 1953 wheat penny, now enshrined as a symbol of error coin greatness, has inspired a new generation of collectors to think beyond the obvious and look for the extraordinary in what may seem mundane, because it's exactly that ability to see value where others do not that leads to the kind of once-in-a-lifetime discoveries that make headlines and change lives. And this story should serve as both an educational guide and an inspiration for anyone interested in numismatics to always be curious, to always look closer, and to never assume that a coin isn't worth investigating, because sometimes that worn old penny in the bottom of a drawer could be the next big thing. And if this incredible story of a $69 million 1953 wheat penny has opened your eyes to the thrilling possibilities that lie in the world of coin collecting, then be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more jaw-dropping discoveries, and turn on notifications so you never miss another unbelievable story of coins that went from pocket change to priceless history. Next, 1944 wheat penny USA coin. Today we're diving deep into the captivating story of the 1944 wheat penny from the United States, a coin that has stunned the numismatic world with its shocking value of $60 million due to a remarkable combination of errors, minting anomalies, and rare features that have transformed it from an ordinary piece of copper into a legendary symbol of historical and financial significance. And what makes this 1944 wheat penny so fascinating is not just its age or the fact that it was minted during a pivotal time in American and global history at the height of World War II, but the incredible and nearly unbelievable set of mistakes that occurred during its production that created one of the most valuable coins ever known. And it all begins with understanding the context of the year 1944, when the United States Mint had just returned to using copper-based bronze for pennies after a one-year switch to steel planchets in 1943 in order to save copper for the war effort. But during this transition back to bronze, several errors were made, including the accidental use of leftover steel planchets from the previous year, resulting in a highly prized 1944 steel penny error, which alone is extremely rare and can fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what if a 1944 penny didn't just have one mistake but multiple, combining steel composition, off-metal strikes, die errors, double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and other unique characteristics into one coin, creating a truly one-of-a-kind specimen that breaks all valuation expectations? Well, that's exactly what happened with the $60 million 1944 wheat penny, which has become the stuff of legend for collectors and historians alike. And to understand its worth, we have to look at each of these elements closely, beginning with the composition error. Because while most 1944 pennies were supposed to be struck on bronze planchets, a few were accidentally made using leftover steel planchets from 1943, making them immediately rare. But the $60 million coin in question takes this rarity a step further by being struck on a transitional planchet that not only contains steel but also has a trace amount of zinc and possibly even foreign metal elements, suggesting it may have been intended for another country's coinage or was part of a test batch never meant to reach circulation. And this off-metal error makes it extraordinarily valuable because it suggests a production mistake that escaped every level of quality control. And then there's the double die obverse feature, where the front of the coin shows clear and dramatic doubling of the date, Lincoln's profile, and the inscriptions like "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," a mistake that happens when the die used to strike the coin has a slight misalignment during the hubbing process, causing the design to appear doubled and giving the coin a visually striking and unmistakable appearance that significantly boosts its value. And in this specific 1944 penny, the doubling is unusually crisp and well preserved, making it one of the most impressive examples of a double die error ever documented. But the anomalies don't end there, because this coin also features a major off-center strike of about 15%, where the design is clearly misaligned on the planchet, causing part of Lincoln's profile and the rim inscriptions to be cut off while still leaving the date fully visible, which is key to retaining value. And off-center errors are already rare, but in conjunction with the other issues present in this coin, they create a truly astronomical level of uniqueness. And then we move on to another critical error, a repunched mint mark, which occurs when the letter indicating the minting location is accidentally punched more than once in slightly different positions. And in this coin, the D mint mark for Denver appears to have been struck twice, creating a visible overlap that is yet another testament to the coin's chaotic production journey. And when all these features, off-metal composition, double die, off-center strike, and repunched mint mark, are present on a single coin in high-grade condition, we enter a level of rarity so profound that only one known example exists, making it truly priceless to the right collector. And that's not all, because this 1944 penny also shows evidence of die cracks and cuds, where the die used to strike the coin has begun to break down, causing raised lines and blobs on the coin surface that are actually parts of the die itself breaking off. And while die cracks are not always valuable, when they appear in tandem with other major errors, they serve as further proof of a uniquely flawed coin that somehow survived the minting process and entered circulation before being discovered decades later. And the story of how this coin was found is almost as fascinating as the coin itself, with reports suggesting it was discovered in a family coin jar passed down through generations and only recognized for its significance when an amateur collector brought it to a local coin show, where experts immediately realized they were looking at something truly extraordinary. And after rigorous testing, grading, and authentication from top numismatic authorities such as PCGS and NGC, the coin was certified as genuine and given an ultra-rare high mint state grade due to its preservation, luster, and clarity of error features. And once word of the coin spread, collectors, investors, and even museums began vying for a chance to own it, eventually leading to a record-breaking auction where the final hammer price landed at an earth-shattering $60 million, forever cementing the 1944 wheat penny's place in history as one of the most expensive and iconic coins ever discovered. And this has sparked a renewed interest in mid-1940s coinage, with hobbyists and professional collectors alike scouring their own collections, change jars, and even bank rolls, hoping to find another overlooked gem that could fetch millions, because the existence of this one spectacular coin proves that errors can happen in the most unexpected ways and at the most historically significant times. And the value of these errors lies not just in their technical rarity but in the stories they tell, as each mistake represents a human error, a mechanical flaw, or a transitional period in minting technology that left a permanent and highly collectible mark on American coinage history. And this is why even small details like a slightly misaligned die, a faint doubling on a letter, or an unusual color or weight can be clues pointing to a valuable treasure hiding in plain sight. And the 1944 wheat penny that sold for $60 million has become a symbol of hope and excitement for coin enthusiasts everywhere. reminding us that numismatics isn't just about collecting old coins but about discovering artifacts that encapsulate moments in time, technological quirks, and historical shifts, all within a small round disc of metal. And with the growing popularity of coin collecting and the accessibility of online marketplaces and forums where collectors can buy, sell, and share information, more people than ever are getting involved in the search for rare pennies, and every new discovery fuels the excitement further, making this one of the most dynamic and rewarding hobbies in the world. So if you've ever come across an old penny and wondered if it might be worth something, now is the time to take a closer look, because the next multi-million-dollar error coin could be sitting unnoticed in your pocket, your attic, or your childhood piggy bank. And as more collectors begin to understand what makes a coin valuable, be it minting errors, rarity, condition, or historical context, the hunt becomes more strategic, more informed, and infinitely more thrilling. So keep your eyes open for signs like doubling, off-center designs, odd weight or color, and especially anything that looks like it doesn't belong, because those are the details that could make all the difference. And remember that even professional graders sometimes miss subtle errors, which means there's always a chance for a sharp-eyed collector to uncover something previously undocumented. And that's the beauty of this field. It rewards curiosity, attention to detail, and a passion for history. And with stories like the $60 million 1944 wheat penny making headlines and inspiring treasure hunters worldwide, there's never been a better time to get involved in coin collecting. So if you enjoyed this incredible story of a 1-cent coin that became a financial giant, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more unbelievable numismatic discoveries, and turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to learn about the next penny that might just be worth a fortune. Last 1951 wheat penny USA coin. Today's deep dive, we're exploring the jaw-dropping story of the 1951 wheat penny that has stunned the numismatic world with an estimated value of $69 million, a coin that defies the odds, overwhelms expectations, and rewrites everything you thought you knew about small copper coins. As we unravel the tale of this humble Lincoln cent minted during the early 1950s, a time of economic growth and post-war optimism in the United States, when millions of wheat pennies were rolling off the presses every day from the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. And yet, out of all the billions of pennies minted that year, one coin, the 1951 wheat penny, emerged as a true anomaly, a stunning convergence of multiple rare minting errors, compositional irregularities, historical context, and physical condition that would eventually lead experts, collectors, and historians to agree on its mind-blowing worth, not due to any gold or precious metals, but due to its uniqueness, its irreplicable identity, and its absolute scarcity as a result of a perfect storm of mistakes and overlooked details that would only be appreciated decades later when coin experts took a closer look under the lens of modern numismatics. And as we go deeper into the saga of this incredible coin, let's begin by acknowledging that 1951 itself was not generally considered a standout year for Lincoln wheat cents, since production numbers were high, design changes were minimal, and no immediate errors stood out to the naked eye for decades. But that is exactly what makes this $69 million penny so legendary, because in a sea of ordinary copper coins, this one specimen surfaced carrying not just one or two small anomalies, but a staggering portfolio of errors and characteristics so rare and statistically improbable that together they created a one-of-a-kind masterpiece that is now seen as both an irreplaceable historical artifact and a multi-million-dollar investment. And the very first detail that caught attention when this coin was discovered in the possession of a retired machinist who had kept it in a drawer since his teenage years was the visibly off-center strike, a minting error where the coin blank wasn't perfectly aligned during the striking process, causing the entire design to be skewed and partially missing on one side. But in this case, what made it rare was that the date and all inscriptions remained fully legible despite being off-center by nearly 20%, which alone would have given it a significant premium over face value. Yet this was merely the beginning of the surprises, because upon closer inspection by certified numismatists and coin grading experts, they discovered something even more unusual: a dramatic double die obverse, meaning the coin's die had been impressed twice by the hub with a slight misalignment, leading to a doubling effect on the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and especially the date 1951, all clearly visible under low magnification, a type of error that collectors go wild for, since doubled dies often exist in extremely limited quantities, and even more valuable when they occur on historically significant coins like the Lincoln Wheat series, and just when experts thought they had seen it all, metallurgical analysis revealed another astonishing feature. The coin was struck on an experimental off-metal planchet, possibly intended for foreign coinage or struck in error from a blank intended for a different denomination, meaning that the composition of this particular coin diverged significantly from the standard 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc alloy used in 1951 cents, with trace amounts of silver, nickel, and manganese detected during X-ray fluorescence testing, indicating either a transitional planchet from an experimental batch or a critical mix-up at the mint during a period of increased experimentation and industrial transition, and this compositional anomaly alone made it unique. Because no other 1951 penny has been found with the same metallic properties, making it an irreplicable outlier in every sense of the word, and as if that wasn't enough to elevate the coin's status, experts also identified a rare die clash error, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like impressions of each design element on the opposite side. And in this case the reverse showed faint outlines of Lincoln's profile while the obverse displayed fragments of the wheat ears from the reverse design, creating a haunting visual effect that further proved the coin's chaotic and flawed production history, and collectors and grading professionals alike were amazed by the layering of these multiple errors, since it is rare enough to find any single one of these mistakes on a circulated coin, let alone 5 or 6 occurring simultaneously and still preserving enough detail for full authentication and historic analysis, and to top it all off, the coin had a repunched mint mark, indicating that the mint mark, an S for San Francisco, had been manually punched more than once into the die, creating a slight doubling of the letter under magnification and representing yet another layer of historical authenticity, as this type of error is consistent with manual processes used during that era before automated engraving systems were widely implemented, and then came the most astonishing discovery of all: the coin surface showed signs of a retained lamination error, a condition where a layer of metal fails to properly bond during the rolling process of the planchet's manufacture, leading to a visible flake or split on the coin's surface, which in this particular penny ran diagonally across Lincoln's shoulder and bust, giving it a visibly fractured appearance without compromising the structural integrity of the coin itself, an error highly prized for both its visual uniqueness and the difficulty of finding well preserved examples. And beyond the technical errors and physical anomalies, what made this 1951 penny so alluring to historians and collectors was its provenance and the story of how it remained hidden for so many decades, having never been professionally graded or appraised until recently, and once word spread of its existence and features, top grading services including PCGS and NGC authenticated it and awarded it an uncirculated grade of MS66 with red-brown toning, a remarkable preservation level for a coin over 70 years old, especially one with so many structural abnormalities, and its high grade and visual appeal further skyrocketed its value, leading to a heated series of private offers before it was finally acquired in a record-breaking $69 million transaction by a private collector with an intense focus on unique era coins and transitional issues. And the sale made headlines worldwide, igniting renewed interest in mid-20th century Lincoln cents and pushing thousands of hobbyists, amateur collectors, and professional numismatists to go back through their collections and search for overlooked gems that might possess similar combinations of mistakes and history, and the legacy of this coin continues to grow as experts speculate that there may be more out there, undiscovered examples possibly hiding in old coin rolls, tucked in jars, or resting in forgotten childhood collections. And since 1951 was not previously known for producing major error varieties, it has created a new wave of research and exploration into mint records, die pairings, and planchet compositions from that year to determine whether this specimen was a one-time fluke or part of a batch of test strikes or unauthorized experimentation that was never properly documented. And for collectors looking to find similar treasures, this coin serves as an unforgettable lesson in the importance of checking for doubling, weighing coins for off-metal compositions, identifying lamination flaws, spotting die clashes, analyzing repunched mint marks, and looking for anything out of the ordinary that might elevate a common coin into a multi-million-dollar artifact, because even the smallest deviations in design, texture, metal content, or alignment can dramatically affect a coin's value, especially when multiple rare attributes coincide in a single specimen, and for investors and collectors alike. This penny is now viewed not only as a rare historical object but also as an alternative asset with serious long-term potential, a safe haven for capital in a tangible, collectible form that tells a story, preserves a moment in minting history, and represents the pinnacle of rare coin collecting, and the implications of its discovery have already caused pricing surges in other rare coins from the early 1950s. With auction results showing rising interest in lesser-known varieties and previously undervalued specimens, all thanks to the legend of this one-of-a-kind 1951 wheat penny that stunned the world and set a new gold standard for what a penny can be worth. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the numismatic marvel that is the $69 million 1951 wheat penny and want to keep exploring the wild, wonderful world of rare and valuable coins that might be hiding in your own change or childhood piggy bank, stay tuned to this channel where the next incredible discovery is just one coin away.